From CBS News, it's The Early Show.
JB, I know you're going to appreciate a story we have coming up a little bit later in the program.
That being?
That being Reese Witherspoon. So she'll grace the cover of Glamour in January. She's 34 years old. She's now saying that she feels sexier than ever. And that is the question. Does aging make you feel sexier? So I'll have you answer that.
And you emphasize as you were talking to me, aging, is that correct? Did my wife slip you a little note to have you ask me that question?
She's a good woman, right?
Absolutely. I hope indeed that is the case, Rebecca.
Well, you know what, there is some scientific, what's interesting about this is there's actually some scientific underpinnings to this discussion, this question about whether aging makes you feel sexier, makes you act sexier as an individual. I think what's really interesting about what Reese Witherspoon had to say in the magazine is that she feels more true to herself. She feels more like herself. She knows herself more. So maybe there's something to that. We are going to be speaking with a psychotherapist, Dr. Jen Berman, who can talk to that.
I know you're accustomed to hear me be a bit more expansive about sports. I'm just too dark to blush on this one. Go ahead.
A lot of us dread aging, but some celebs like 34-year-old Reese Witherspoon are embracing it. Witherspoon is Glamour magazine's January cover girl and tells the magazine she feels much sexier as she's grown older. So how can the rest of us feel that way too? Psychotherapist Dr. Jen Berman has the answers. Great to have you with us this morning, Jen.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
And such a hot topic here. One thing that really struck me when I was reading the interview with Reese Witherspoon was how she said, I know myself now. I know who I am. How significant is that in feeling sexy?
I think that that is so true. The 20s are a real time, a time that's idealized. I think that it's such a time where women are struggling to find their identity and figure out who they are and establish themselves in their careers. But the 30s tends to be a real time of security for that very reason, because we have a much better sense of who we are, and that is sexy.
Well, and with Reese Witherspoon, of course, she's gone through a number of changes. We're looking at a picture of her side by side now, 14 years ago when she was 20, along with a more recent picture. And of course, she's had 2 babies. She's been through divorce. How significant are these life stages and going through different personal developments to feeling sexy?
Well, they're so important, and those life experiences tend to make us more sexy. And, you know, one thing that's important to keep in mind is that if you don't start out feeling confident and sexy, you fake it till you make it. And the behaviors, behaving as if you feel sexy, behaving as if you feel confident, leads women to feel confident.
That's a really interesting point, because more and more in Hollywood, we're seeing women over 40, women over 60, the likes of Diane Keaton, Demi Moore, very sexy women in their own right. Do you think that our sense, there's Terry Hatcher, you're looking at her right now, do you think that our sense of age is changing in this country? Do you think we're taking a new approach to aging?
I absolutely do. Women like that have revolutionized the way we think about aging, and it's given the rest of us some hope. Even though they have the advantages of plastic surgery and makeup artists and all of that, when we see someone who is our age or older looking great, it can be really inspiring.
That is a good point. They do have the advantages, as you put it, of plastic surgery and Botox and all the injections and things like that. When it comes to feeling sexy for your partner and growing older with that partner, how do you think that it's important to keep the spark alive, and how can we do that?
Well, it's important to make time for one another. Turn off the TV, turn off the BlackBerry, not the show, of course, by the way. Turn off your computer. Have face-to-face time with each other, and also take good care of yourself. Make sure that you are eating healthy, that you're listening to your body, that you're exercising, that you're dressing in a way that makes you feel good. And then also have some sex, even if you don't feel like it. Sometimes having sex can make you feel sexy, and also sex begets sex. The more you have, the more you want.
What about conversations with your partner about feeling sexy?
It's so important. The more communication you have, the more connected and the more intimate you feel, the more confident you're likely to feel, which makes you feel more sexy.
In terms of men, of course, you have George Clooney in Hollywood, and there are a lot of people who look at him as an icon of sex now that he's actually grown older, and you're seeing both the side-by-side pictures. More people know his face now than they knew his face then when he was younger. In terms of men, do you think that the standard and the difference potential in standard between men and women makes a difference mentally in terms of how men versus women feel sexy?
Well, men have an advantage in that traditionally their sense of sexiness and self-esteem tends to come from power and earning potential, which tends to rise over the lifespan. They've also been they've been given permission more to have a few wrinkles, to get gray, whereas women traditionally have not.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jen. And for more about how your sexual confidence changes with age, go to our partner in health, WebMD.com, and search Sexuality and Aging.